So I want to start today just by kind of addressing the elephant in the room, which I think is the shifts, that you've seen over towards school and just everything that's kind of going on right now. When the United States um, bombed Iran, there was a moment in me that was a kind of lightning bolt of clarity that it just became known to me that all the transition that I talk about with and that Richard talks about with the future human and this process of being reborn and coming into true freedom, like it's here. It's not like what we are seeing and feeling now is that. And so it put this sense of urgency in me in a really big way. Not in a, I'm not as hubristic to think that I need to kill myself in order to shift the timeline that we're on to, stop something from happening. That's not what I'm saying. But the connection to my vocation and just this such strong drive and urge to help people through this shift and transition just became so clear and apparent to me. And so you now being here as I see it are a part of a movement, like it or not. Like that's the direction that I'm taking this thing. And that movement, you're here for a reason. I talk about fractals all the time in the Gene Keys. Richard talks about them all the time. If you're drawn to my work, which obviously you are if you're here, there's a reason that that's the case. And there's a reason that you're here right now. And so one of the biggest kind of pieces of pushback that I've received thus far, not that I've received a bunch of pushback, but just like as people are coming into the group and people are reaching out to me is, hey, Jay, I'm not a leader, right? Like I don't see myself as a leader because that was the language that I used here was like, I'm bringing future leaders through this transition in so that we can do the work together, so that we can set up some sort of structures to be able to catch people when they start falling because it's a matter of time. When I say the word leader, and I'm going to make a whole video about this, and I don't know where it's going to go, but when I say the word leader, I do not necessarily mean that you, like I'm doing right now, are going to be leading a movement or trying to start a movement or lead a business or lead a team. Like that is not what I mean when I say the word leader. What I mean when I say leader is somebody that is able to hold a sense of stability. Somebody that is able to be a lighthouse for people to turn to when they feel scared. That's what I mean by leader. That's what we need is people that are firmly rooted in themselves. And regardless of the mayhem that's happening in the outer world, they know who and what they are. They know on a deep level how the world and universe works, and they're able to maintain a sense of peace and equanimity through all of it. I'm telling you, if you can build yourself into the type of person that is able to do that, people are going to flock to you. And the amount of impact that you can have in helping this transition is massive. That's why I believe you're here. That's why I'm here. So, next up, I just want to share how I see my role in this and then what I would want, knowing that I might not get it, but what I would want from each of you through this process. So first thing I'm going to do is just quickly share my screen, which my computer is not the best. So if it gets skippy, bear with me. And I just want to click through um, the school group so that you guys know kind of what it all is, where you can find stuff, resources, tools, that sort of thing. Can you guys give me a thumbs up if you can see my screen right now? Okay. Okay, so obviously this is the community tab. So this is the main place that I'm going to be sharing stuff. Also, people like Jan, right? Like this video right here, this the human journey video, all of you should go and watch this. It is so good. This is what I want from this community is putting resources that either you're creating and you're willing to share or that you're finding and you think will be useful for people through this journey or transition. Yes, absolutely. If you find Gene Keys stuff, put it in there. But also anything that like if we anything that's grounded, especially like any leadership stuff, any physical body stuff, anything that and the spiritual stuff is great too. But like I really want people to have tools to be able to walk through this because I'm telling you, it is going to get much worse before it gets better. And I don't say that to scare you. I don't like, you're going to be fine. Here, I got people in the waiting room. Sorry, let me get them in. Everything's going to be fine. It's all going to work out. I know what the ending is, and it's a happy ending. So don't stress and prepare yourself and do the work that you got to do. Okay, so there's stuff in here from Courtney, who's on the call right now, who talks about somatic work, neuroscience stuff. Mainly, as I was talking to her this morning, the way that maybe people can understand this is she can help give you the tools to create a sense of internal safety. And that sense of internal safety is a prerequisite to be able to do stuff in the outer world and maintain your centeredness and your sense of peace. So you can look through some of the older videos that she's got in there. In other words, engage with this content, share stuff that you're finding. I do not want this to be me just like mouthing off to you guys all the time. The reason that it's in school is that it gives us an ability to interact and to share. Okay, so that's that. We got 100 members in 3 days. That makes me feel really good. I'm excited about that too. Coming up top, we've got the classroom tab. So this is the place that you can go when you need resources in a specific area. Okay, I've got it split into the lower bodies. So you've got physical body, astral body, mental body. These will be built out. It's super bare bones in there right now, but there's enough, right? So I've got a few videos on working with emotion, processing grief, alchemy, conflict resolution, that kind of thing. Then all things, and I mean all things with the sequences are in here. So if you are working with the Venus sequence, we've got an overview video that sits up here at the top, all the lines videos for every single sphere that exists, all the pathway videos, and then you guys know that I'm going through the spheres right now. So as I go through, I haven't done the ones that I've done already. I haven't put those in here yet, but they're coming. So all of the spheres will be here as well. So click around in this classroom. We've got some, if you're new to the Gene Keys, some helpful Gene Keys 101 stuff, some tips and tools on contemplation. You guys won't see this Synarchy call or somatic awareness. That's like some private work that I had before that's only open to certain people. There's some meditations, some inspiration, some universal wisdom here is like other wisdom streams. So, for example, there's stuff on Hermetic philosophy in here. So clicking around. Next up, next tab over is the calendar. So right now, the biggest shift on the calendar is that the wisdom calls are now weekly. So I will be here every Thursday for free, 12 o'clock. Come in, let's talk. Okay, we're here to walk through this transition together, and I mean it. Soon, there will be other calls on this schedule, and it will be both experts that I know. So I guarantee Courtney will be on here at some point. Another one of the guys who I haven't, man, I just love that bird, Christine. It brings me so much joy every time I see the bird on your shoulder. um, I've got a guy, Brent, who I can't see everyone who's here right now. He may or may not be here. I worked with him on the last time. He's helping people with like sales and nuts and bolts stuff there. So like that kind of call can be on here. I'm gonna talk to you guys, and that's part of the wisdom call today is asking you, what do you want? What do you need? How can I most help you through this process? Also, we're going to put on some practice calls, meaning a period of time, maybe a 30-minute call where we just show up and meditate together, right? Or we show up and we do Dharma work together. That's another thing that I've dreamt of doing. It's just like basically a co-working space where we commit to working on our deepest, bringing forth our vocation out into the world and not being distracted with other stuff. So there's lots of things that are potentially coming here.
Jay, can you check the waiting room?
Yes, thank you. Actually, I can stop sharing my screen too, because that's all I had on that. And then we'll go to the waiting room. I don't see anybody. Do you have insider information that I don't have?
No, I was just responding to the chat.
Okay. Thank you. Oh, you can disable the waiting room. Yeah, I know, but I like it because I don't want people to just be able to pop right in right away. I like to be able to let people in. That's really the biggest thing. Because I need to be ready. I take some time before these to make sure I'm in the right energetic state. And so I just want to make sure that that process is done before I get rocking and rolling. Okay. Are there any questions on what I have said thus far as how to utilize the community, what's inside there, any feedback, just anything thus far that we've spoken about? Okay, cool. So my role is got it, Sarah. Okay. I'll check that out for sure. A to one of the reasons that I'm really excited about this is that I'm feeling I've got a lot of stuff moving through me right now. And so it's a place for me to put that stuff. So you guys are going to see a lot of hopefully helpful information coming into that group. Another place is I really feel the call to be a kind of rallying point. Like we're gonna need to lean on one another, and so that's why I started the school group. So that really is how I see my work. And then the other part of this is that up until now, I have focused on long-term transformational containers with people. That was what the first cohort went through. That's what Lota, who's here right now, that's her and I. That's the work that we're engaged on in this moment because of this kind of blast that I've gotten and my desire to prepare people to the best of my ability. I am really like it's my intuition all the way here and just a this is counter to everything that I've thought for whatever reason my gut's pointing me in this direction is to do a gene key specific kind of shorter term dive with I don't know how many people, but basically, I think the activation sequence work right now, because it is all about core stability, right? It's all about how can I maintain my memory, remembering what is real and what is illusion, and remember my divine nature as things start to shake up and fall apart. Like it's just so clear to me that this is the work that needs to be done. So if you have not done the activation sequence work, or if you've done it and it has not landed in you, if you still have things that have not opened to you, and you'll know that your intuition will just make it clear. Let's do this work together. It's going to be an 8-week process. We're going to spend 2 weeks on each of the spheres. I will come back to this at the end. If you've been waiting to do work with me, this is going to be the cheapest by far things have ever been. And it, I don't know that I'll go this route again. So I know like Mac, you and I spoke. This might be something that might be an answer to your prayers. Christine, you and I also, this you might fit into this camp as well, big time. Sonia, you too, perfect. Okay. And Lota, you're just going to be in there, FYI. My intention is to just open it up to you. Okay. I want to say a quick prayer. I'm feeling too up here. So let's kind of drop it down into our bodies, connect for a second. So just getting into a position of reverence, whatever that means for you today. And if you feel comfortable closing the eyes, if not, just a soft gaze. And just beginning to feel where in your body is drawing your attention right now. There's just a massive amount of energy swirling around at the moment. And taking this time to feel where is the boundary? What is you? What is the world? On one level, we are one. I want you to feel into that unity now. Feel the breath moving through you as it moves through me and Courtney and Lota and Renee. All the same breath. All human. All with our own scars, our own stories, our own gifts. But ultimately, aspects of the same consciousness. And now I want you to tune into your individuality because both are true. You are one and we are many. Breathe into that heart space, that pure, innocent, beautiful, untouched part of you. And just notice all those sanskaras, those wounds that keep us separate from the one. And feel that those scars, those wounds are our compass back home. Just open to the possibility that everything up until this moment has brought you to this moment for a purpose. And part of our individuality is our individual gifts. I want you to pull up a gift from your gene keys right now, anyone that you want, and just pull that word into your awareness and let it wash over you. And know that this is something that you can uniquely contribute to the whole. That's what allows us to be a whole, each of our individual parts doing their piece. We're a human because we have heart cells and stomach cells and skin cells. Feel into your specialness, your uniqueness. You are unique medicine for somebody. And the day that you commit to sharing that medicine is the day that your sphere of attraction puts a call out to the world to bring the people that need your medicine to you. That's how this works. God, universe, spirit, we sense your presence more and more in these times. We feel your call louder and louder, and we're committed to developing the courage to answer that call. We're going to need your help, and we trust that you'll be there acting through us. We're going to need your support in letting go, in seeing what we cannot see. And we are willing to sacrifice our lower nature to our higher nature so that we can slowly, so slowly, move towards God realization, move towards Shambhala, the Garden of Eden, heaven on earth. We thank you for your guidance and your love. We give our fear to you, give our love to you, we give our devotion to you. Just connecting to the breath. Let's go ahead and take a big inhale together to attune ourselves. Go ahead and breathe in. Sigh out. One more time together. Breathe in and sigh out. Coming back into the room, wiggling fingers and toes. You're ready. Come on back. Okay. Um, Francesca, to answer your question, nobody is entitled to it. Lota is doing some deep work with me, and so I'm just giving it to her, but everyone else is going to be paying. Um, okay. So, like I said, this was the moment that I was going to go to Jan to kind of talk about Hero's Journey. I don't think he would mind if I bring this up and talk about it a little bit, but I'm not sure if I can make it big enough that I can see it. So stand by one second. Let me see. Yeah, it's too blurry that way. Oh well. Okay. So, the reason that I wanted to talk about the hero's journey today is as I was thinking about the hero's journey, I recognized that people are getting stuck in the same place on the hero's journey over and over and over again. And if you're not familiar, this is Campbell's work. He was a comparative mythologist, so he studied myths across the entire world, across vast spans of time, and pulled out commonalities from them. Maybe if I go to YouTube, because it would be really helpful to be able to see the words. Okay, okay, okay. There we go. So basically, the hero's journey represents the archetypal human journey, the archetypal human path, and it starts in the ordinary world. It starts in a 9 to 5, going to school, getting out of school, getting all the training that we get, what Don Miguel Ruiz would call the indoctrination of humans. And at a certain point, we receive the call to adventure. That's the next step along this hero's journey. And the call to adventure is something comes alive inside of us where we feel this desire to understand the world, to shift and grow, to shake things up. And almost inevitably, what happens in the next phase in the hero's journey is that we refuse the call, right? We say, no way, I'm not answering. And take that back to what I said before with when I used the word leader, and so many of you being like, whoa, 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 that's not me, right? That is a piece of a refusal of the call. That is a small piece on some level, a lack of belief, a lack of understanding of what it means maybe to be a leader. So it's not necessarily belief in yourself, but it's like this people need help and you're somebody that can help them. You sitting right there. So we refuse the call until we meet the mentor. That is the next step along this purpose, or excuse me, this process. And the mentor could be many, many things. Yes, it could be a human. But your mentor could also be the gene keys, right? It could be a system that you discover. The mentor could be a book. The mentor could be a line in a movie that you see. The mentor could be a course that you take. I mean, you name it. Anything where it presents this shift in the way that you see or perceive the world or think. That's what I mean by a mentor here. I'd say most often it's a human in some way, shape, or form, but definitely not always. Once we meet the mentor, we go back to the ordinary world, right? So each time, basically, we take one step further and then go back to the beginning. So, ordinary world. Then we get the call to adventure again, but this time, because of our understanding, the breakthrough that we had with the mentor, instead of refusing the call, we cross the threshold, which is the next step here. And crossing the threshold is building the courage and making the choice to chase the dream, chase the thing that you feel like you are here to do. Interestingly, I'm pretty certain that for most people, that initial dream is not the actual dream. The initial dream is just there to help get the gears turning, to help get you moving and taking action out in the world. So we cross the threshold. And when we cross the threshold, that's when we meet our first set of challenges, tests, allies, and enemies. So there's universal tests. I'm convinced I'm in the midst of one right now. There are these periods of time where our commitment, our devotion is tested. And we are asked, are you actually changed or are you going to go back to who you were and what you were before? Then there's allies. So there's people that start to show up to help you move through this process. I would call all of you allies, people that listen to you, that pay attention to you, that bring their wisdom and share it with you, that fill in different pieces that you don't have, right? They have gifts that are complementary to your gifts. And we get enemies. You better believe one of the favorite things one of my mentors has ever told me, because it gave me so much courage, was that the moment that you plant a flag, people are going to start shooting. Like, that's the name of the game. You stand for something, there's going to be people that stand for something else. That's just the nature of the world. And so if that's the case, you have to know that some people are not going to like what you have to say. And so you have to have, it's why the activation sequence work is so important. You have to have this stability to not let that in as all the way in, right? Like we need energetic boundaries. That is that person's issue that they need to work through. So many entrepreneurs, especially people in this more kind of spiritual realm, immediately fall off at this moment because we're more sensitive. And we just can't take it in. It's just it hurts too badly. But the only way that it hurts too badly is if you have not done the prerequisite work to know what you are, regardless of what anybody else says or thinks about you. That's why we start with the activation sequence work as opposed to the pearl work, right? If you just jump right in, which a lot of people want to do, into the pearl work and sharing themselves, that works to a point. But if you don't have a sense of core stability as the thing that you built and brought out to the world interacts with the world is at the shadow frequency, right? That's the reality of where we are. So you're going to get some shadow reflected back to you. So enemies is a part of this. And you've got to know that going into it, because when you know that going into it, it doesn't hurt quite as bad. It still hurts. I'm not going to lie, right? Like on the video that I posted about this transition, about Iran and what happened, like usually my comments are super pure and like super loving and beautiful. I assume because of the space that I'm in, right? Because we're talking about the things that we're talking about. That was not, right? That was something talking about, yeah, Missy, thanks for being here, my love. That was something that was political in nature. And so I knew that I was going to get some flack for that. And I did. And it still stung for sure. Okay. So tests, allies, enemies. Then we approach the cave. Approaching the cave is what happens and what means the calling of the dark night of the soul, if you will. It's this period where we start to get called into our internal space because the tests, the allies, and the enemies showed up, and we're like, oh shit, there's something inside of me that needs to be addressed. You start to feel that pull or call. You start to see, like, wait a second. This isn't like the same things are happening over and over and over again. This has got to be something with me. Like, there's no way that it's the world. And so then we go within and we go through the next step is an ordeal, death, rebirth. So this is the place where I see people getting stuck over and over and over again. They do this first part, right? They answer the call to adventure because they meet the mentor and they take the first step and they run into the tests and allies and they go into the dark space. And that is where it gets really scary. And that is where it gets really difficult to meet the darkest parts of yourself and to have to let those go And so, because that moment is so pivotal, and honestly, I believe it requires an initiation. This is something Courtney and I were talking about earlier this week. Is like, I think a part of the reason that so many people get stuck here is because we do not have initiations into adulthood in our culture. And so, we do not have the tools nor the community to be able to get to the other side of this extremely difficult process. And that's part of what I'm trying to provide here. And so what ends up happening is people run into the ordeal. It gets too spicy. They think that they chose the wrong path and they go back to the ordinary world again. And then the process begins again. And then they may get back to ordeal, death, rebirth. And I'm just watching people going back and forth through this section. And I think it's happening because people that make it through are not doing a good enough job in coming back and pulling the rest of the people up along with them. That's why I'm here right now. That's why I want to do this work with you. I want you guys to be the people that can reach down and get people to the other side of this. Because what's on the other side is what Jan called the reward or seizing the sword, to take like from myth, the sword and the stone. This is like, we get so close. We're so on the edge of a totally different worldview, and we just can't quite get across the threshold. And when we do, everything changes, and then we begin the road back. And the road back is a kind of return back towards the ordinary world, but this time in a totally different way. I always like to take this to the Fool card from the tarot, which is the first card and the last card, right? We're a fool at the beginning and we're a fool at the end, but the fool at the end is completely different than the fool at the beginning. We no longer are a fool because we don't know. We're a fool because we recognize that there's no way that we can know. And so we start walking back. And in that walk back is this moment of resurrection. And what I mean by that is something different happens. For the first time, we have this breakthrough, and the new you, the new character, the new business, the new whatever is out and established and real. And on the other side of that resurrection, think of what Christ's resurrection, if that's something you believe in, think about how many people that opened. Whether you believe in it or not, the number of people that saw the power of that and saw that something else is possible. There's another way to live in the world. That's what it takes. If we can get to the other side of this, just by you being yourself is going to give people permission to go through this same process and the same journey. In full disclosure, I'm in the midst of ordeal, death, and rebirth right now. Like, I do not feel like I'm completely on the other side. That's the reality. And I do feel for the first time that there's no absolute zero possibility that I go back. So we're going to see what's on the other side. Then the last step in this process is to return with the elixir. And so that is bringing your medicine, your unique self back into the ordinary world. This isn't about running into, the fifth dimension. This is about grounding yourself down here and creating heaven on earth. So that is the hero's journey. Questions. What did that bring up for you guys? Let's just kind of discuss. that. I see Sonia said initiation like Dark Knight. Yes, 100%, Sonia. Can you guys see how this relates like directly to the gene keys? I always wonder because like my six line brain sees the interconnectedness of things like really, really easily. But what I've realized is that other people don't necessarily see that connection. And so I'm curious if you guys see that. Sarah, yes.
So, yeah, just a good thing that I use about negative reflections that we get is to remember that we're all one mind and that other people just reflect back our fears and things. So, like you said, you don't often get much stuff, but occasionally you'll get an odd negative comment.
Hmm.
And it's just a reminder of something that's kind of still in the unconscious about you following your path and stuff. So you
Yes.
can just send love to it because it's really just that, just like see people as like messenger angels rather than threats and enemies because they're not really. And the ego wants us to think about it that way, but it's not.
So well said. Yes, that is so, so important. And interesting, like to think to think about the unhealed part of self, right? Because the only way that that gets in is if we on some level agree with what that person said. Super helpful, Sarah. Thank you. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, I think it's just like a fear of the light because we have a fear of going towards our own destiny and that people are gonna say do things like that, but we don't have to take it as seriously when we know that they're just like reflections of the mind.
Yeah, for sure. Also, there's something to be said, like with me talking about the outlaw stuff, of like there are people in this world that just are like they know who they are. And some of them are aware, some of them are not aware. So this can go both ways, but they just know who they are and they're good just being who they are. And they don't really care if people get upset with them or if, and like that's just a part of their character and their personality. And that's obviously a blessing and a curse, like everything else, right? There are gifts to that and there are hard parts to that. I'm the opposite. Like everything comes to me and is felt on a deep level. It's the reason I shut it down for so long. Renee.
First of all, thanks so much, Jay. I'm going to cry because this is exactly, just so much is exactly what I've been looking for as a support in a container and all this stuff. And really interesting. I listened this morning to in your classroom, your contemplation on 61,
Mm-hmm.
um, because that's my evolution.
Okay.
So I've got 62 life's work.
Mm-hmm.
61 evolution and I'm a one. So you're a six, completing the cycle, right? And the one to create. And anyway, all that to say, and my purpose is 32,
Mm.
which I know you have as well, which is that failure, etc. And it's been really interesting listening to your contemplations and the 64 book getting different ways, because when you first listen to just those words, at first it's like, that's not, and then you're like that whole thing about detail. I'm like, that's not me. I'm not like really and everybody around me is like, are you kidding me? You're like, no, how could you not see that? And I don't see it because when I get into something, the detail is really obsessive, like now in the Gene Keys, like,
Mm-hmm.
I got to know it all. All right, all that to say, and my big thing is somatics, putting it in the body, shifting and working with the fascia. And I really think that's something that this work, it's so interconnected. And I think I'm just really getting that that's what I will need to bring. I'm already creating something, but adding that whole fascial part to it because I believe and am seeing evidence that our fascial system is not just in our body, it's also our intuition, it's piezoelectric, it's light, it's crystalline energy, and it actually is how we connect to all these fields and bring it back in and work with it, etc. So Yeah, really interesting work. So now, why was I saying all this? I
I don't know, but that was
say all that, but
helpful.
also, oh, I know, because one of my mentors would say the brighter the light, the darker the shadow. Not
Mhm.
so much our shadow, yes, but the more you shine your light in the world, there will be so much darkness to come
Mhm.
in. And so, exactly what you were saying, just energetically, that's sort of how it works. And I love that idea of core stability because up till now, I know I would not have been able to handle that. Like I've been really, really blessed that I have a nice community, tribe from my movement, things that I do. And and I've been doing it for over 20 years. Rare do I ever get anybody saying anything negative. I don't attract that. And I've always kept everything like you really
Mhm.
light and I never would say anything that could even be considered controversial. And is that authentic? Is that really being authentic? No. Okay, I'll just answer my own question. It's not. And so only now with all this support, etc., am I like, you know what, now Renee, are you feeling stable enough to just really be? Like, tell it how you see it. I'm not saying it's right for everybody, but tell it really now what's going on
Yeah.
internally and all that. And that's where you are too. And you do a really beautiful job of being transparent. I
Mhm.
mean, and that makes you so much more authentic and so much more attractive,
Mhm.
right? In that way. So
Yeah.
thank you and thank you all. And yeah, I'm really thrilled to be here.
Totally. Yeah. I'm thrilled that you're here also. Did you hear our conversation? Did you catch the last wisdom call by any chance?
Oh,
Okay. So hilariously, we opened like a 30-minute talk about fascia, and it's basically like it being the thing that connects us to our intuition and our
really?
spirituality and kind of being like the connective tissue of the universe and all of that. So this is so clearly moving through the zeitgeist right now, and I'm not sure where it's going to end up, but there is something here, and
Oh, yeah.
and yeah, there's a lot that can be
Oh, that's so
unpacked.
exciting. Where is there a place I can find that? Is it in this community?
It's on YouTube actually.
Okay, I'll
So
look.
I've got a playlist on YouTube that's called just Wisdom Calls. So if you
Okay,
click there, you'll be able to see, or even if you just scroll back, because I've only posted a handful of videos since that last Wisdom Call. So
okay,
you should be able to see it pretty quickly.
beautiful. I'll find it. Thank you.
Uh,
Exciting. So thanks, Evan.
yeah, and I couldn't agree with you more. Like, and this is something that I also am working on is like, I didn't want to rock the boat. And what I realized is because I knew that same as you, I knew I couldn't handle what was going to come back. I wasn't going to be able to stand firmly in who and what I was.
Mm-mm.
And there's another part of it too that we haven't talked about yet, which is like a fear of doing harm. Like this is somebody that I worked with before, like really struggled in this area, is like, what if I'm wrong? Right? Like
Yes.
there's a piece of that of like, what if I'm wrong and I'm telling somebody something that they take as truth and and then it's not right, because I'm a human and I'm just giving my best intuition. And so that's a part of it too, is like I am mindful of not wanting to harm people.
And I mean, I couldn't agree. That is absolutely yes. And so I will always then, like, I taught a workout that I learned from someone else. And for me, it was instead of, and eventually I did add my own things, but I know that part of it was always because then if I was teaching somebody else's stuff and something wasn't quite right, it wasn't like for me, like I know that there was a part of that same thing. I don't want to, right, exactly what you said. I don't have to
Yeah.
repeat it.
Yeah.
Same thing. Absolutely.
And I know that that's a big part of the leadership resistance from other people that have reached out to me too, is like there's some of this, like, who am I to do this? right? I don't have the expertise. I don't have whatever. And I guarantee you that is alive in every human being that is out there doing something that you are taking as pure truth, right?
Mhm.
Like those big people that we all follow,
Yeah.
Robert Edward Grant, right? Like that dude is just sharing his best guess at things.
Right.
That's it.
Right. And even just qualifying, look, this is where I'm at right now based on my understanding, and take it or don't. This is where I'm at, and and this is my experience, and we're all having our own experience, and I'm just sharing mine.
Yeah.
And right, and take that for what you are. And having my purpose be 32 with failure. And that idea of panic, oh my God, I have lived with that. God forbid I should stop constantly doing and posting and blah, 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 because maybe they'll all forget about me, right? And then I'm going to be alone out here. They will have abandoned me and I'll die by myself. And that whole idea right now where I'm at, I just keep getting let go, letting go. 42 is my radiance. Let go. If you do, and I'm thinking about moving out of this country and going to another. Let go all the identity. Who do I think I am?
Yeah,
Letting go.
totally.
It's so crazy. I just want to share one other thing because I think it's fascinating. And that is in that whole idea of the letting go, I ended up, I know this might be TMI, but it's physical. I think we can talk poop. Can we talk poop? I mean,
Of course.
okay. Digestion poop. Oh, Christine's going positive. We're going to talk poop for a minute. So, in this transition, in the contemplation on these gene keys, I end up so plugged up. I cannot go. Hard as a rock, out like this. I'm doing some of my somatics. Nothing's working. I'm like, I ended up in the emergency room, which believe me, I do my damnedest to not be there ever. Okay. But okay. And basically, after a CT scan and everything, you're just all plugged up. Go home and take a fleets and something. I mean, they don't have any idea. And I go back and I'm sitting there with this going, oh my God, you have to let go of your crap. It's all this crap that you're just holding on to. It's not you. And that, along with some new fascia maneuver things that I learned, I did that, I got that, and boom, everything released.
100%.
So wild.
It's so wild. Another example of this is I had from a contemplation breakthrough recently. I realized that, so I've been on quite a fascia journey myself. It got just locked down, like it was immovable for a long time, and it was a big part of the reason that I was out of commission for 5 years basically. I know it was because the fascia tightened down, and then I started hurting myself for real, right? Like I started getting herniations and tore my right shoulder and my right hip, like all sorts of crazy stuff started to happen. But what I realized is that everything is forward. So like this shoulder is forward of where it wants to be. My right hip is forward of where it wants to be. Everything is forward. And what I realized is my posture in life was this, right? Like reaching out, never able to stay at home in myself. And literally the structures of my body moved that way. I'm convinced that's what happened.
It's the words are true. Like the messages that we get are so literal. That's the word I want to be. It's
Yeah.
literal. And the body is always talking to us. And what do? We don't want to feel the pain.
Yep.
So we look out here. Always, always, right? Because we're so afraid if we just turn in and breathe and just, without even trying to fix anything, just allow the body to show us, to breathe through it, to move it. So interesting. I'll be quiet. I think I've been
You're
too
good.
much, but anyway,
No,
thank
no, no,
you.
no. You're
That's
welcome.
so great. I appreciate that.
I'm very
Yes.
glad you're here. And I definitely want to call you to anything that you feel willing to share regarding some of this stuff. Please post it in the group. I would really love that.
Beautiful. I'll do a couple of like short fascia maneuver releases.
Perfect.
Oh, and I would love feedback on it. Love, love, love.
Love it. Yeah, I love like human garages stuff and stuff.
Yes,
Yeah, if it's
that's
in
the
that
stuff that I'm
world,
like
yeah, perfect. Okay.
freaking on.
Yep. And then the other thing I'll just add, and then Candy will go over to you, is if this is something that you want to engage in, right? This work of like improving posture and improving the structures in your body. First, know that it is the thing that has kept me on the path is the changes in the structure of my body. Like as I grow and develop spiritually, my body shifts and changes back to a more neutral and pain-free position. It is wild, but I swear to God, it is true. One of the things Richard says somewhere along the way is genius cannot emerge through a stooped posture. And so we've got to do this work of reopening the body because it's reopening the body that allows the energy and all this information to move through you. So it's like you're missing out on your intuition and on tons of guidance if the body is not open. What I can tell you is that it is incredibly subtle, this work. Like you do not need to do these big, giant, like what Renee is going to post with Human Garage. Those are pretty big fascial maneuvers, right? It's like a big bit of your body is moving. I promise you, if you just lay down on a yoga mat on your back and do these like little tiny micro movements where you feel something that's just not quite sitting right. All you have to do is just put your awareness on that spot and just breathe and give it space. And you'll get an intuition that tells you this needs to move closer to center or this needs to move up or whatever. And what's interesting is your body is going to be stuck. At least this was the case for me, right? I got that intuition, but I couldn't, like, literally, physically couldn't move that way. And so I just had to be with it. And eventually it started to kind of, things started to rotate and shift and move. And so if this is any of you, I just want you to know that it's incredibly subtle work. You don't need to follow anyone's anything. It's just tuning into the body and knowing, like we're taught through the fitness world that you got to kill yourself to work out, right? That you got to train really hard. You got to lift heavy things. Even yoga now has gotten to this place where you got to be super bendy and like do all these crazy positions. And I think it misses out on the subtle that is required to like really get things back. Okay. Candy, over to you, my dear. You're still muted, my love. Oh, you're trying to unmute. I got it. Take your time. Well, she does that.
Perfect. Go ahead.
Oh, there we go. Perfect.
No,
Go ahead.
go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, Francesca said, I'm going for Richard's call. Why did you decide to have him at the same time? Technically, Richard decided to have his call at my time. So I'll just throw that out to the world. But yeah, if you're in Star Pearl, I'm on the same schedule. But now that we're doing weekly wisdom calls, you'll be able to come on the off week so that you don't have to bounce for anybody that's still here. Okay, Candy, go ahead.
Okay. So two things. One, I also had a bit of a flash, and it was kind of activated in me, your language about leadership.
Mm-hmm.
And my preference is helper.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing, but yet it feels more approachable, I think, to some people. So I just offer that we're all, somebody wise once said, we are all just helping each other walk our way home, or whatever that saying is. So helper just feels a little more like, yeah, I can do that. And maybe it's the maternal part of me. I don't know. So
I'm very, very good with helper. Yeah. Like I posted in the Synarchy group yesterday, 2 days ago, a post that I made for Instagram that was about, there was a verse from the Bible and talking about like being able to, that the message comes across through frequency as opposed to the actual specific words that you're using.
Right. Right.
And so that's really, to me, you're talking about the same energy that I'm describing. We're just using two different words to point to that energy.
Right.
And that's the downside with words, is that like they're limited, right? We're trying to catch something that we feel in our body or that we feel in the field, and we've got to try and share that with somebody. And so we need a language to be able to do that. But ultimately, like this glass, like that's just a word that we picked, right? There's
Right.
nothing that makes this glass inherently. It's just a choice that we made. And so I think that's really what we're talking about here. And so yeah, feel free, whatever, if leader is not the right word for you, throw it out and choose whatever word represents that energy that I was talking about earlier of being able to hold that pillar of support and stability for people in your world.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Yeah. And which is what I did. It's like, oh, yeah. And then, okay, yeah, this is what he means. This is exactly what you're saying. So
Yeah.
the other thing that I'll say is about the dark night of the soul. And having had multiples, there are some that I would say have been revolutionary, and it's like an immediate sort of moving through, and others that are evolutionary.
Yes.
So I think some people, it may look like they're stuck. And there are people who do go back because it's so familiar, right? When you go, when you don't know what's on the other side and no one is there to guide you, or it hasn't been done before, or it's nothing in your world or anyone in your world has gone through. It's like, yeah, I just rather go to the familiar pain than the terror of being, maybe I'm making a wrong choice by moving away from this. So
Yeah.
I had an experience last year where I manifested like this dream experience to go. I always said I want to do 2 months of the year on a rocky coast. And that was my manifestation. And I had this opportunity. I went to Ireland in my dream space, and I had this dark night of the soul there.
Mm.
And I was like, but I'm in my dream space. Why am I experiencing this? Like, it was so wrong. And I reached out, I might have shared this before, but I reached out to my astrologer because she does what she calls WTF readings. And I'm like, what the F is going on here? Like, something is so wrong. I am in this dream space and something is so wrong. And she said, you are being not only told, it's an insistence that you clear the cauldron, that you clear out this cauldron. And that, in that dark night of the soul. So I'm still working on that. And it's incremental that I'm moving towards, the other side. I'm not going back, but it's this space. And it's, the hero's journey is like, oh, you have this dark night of the soul, then you come out of it and boom, you're fine.
Yeah.
And it's this, like, it can be a long path to that. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's just nothing wrong with that. So that's what I wanted to say.
Yes, thank you. A very important reminder. Dark nights are so different for everyone. It shows up in a different way for every single person. And sometimes it's like this, yeah, this really deep pit of despair that is like really, bottom, bottom, bottom. Other times it's like this process that, yeah, is more kind of drawn out in nature and really takes its time and almost is more of like a long-term commitment test, right? Or like devotional check through this process. I also find it really important. I just want to talk about a man named Francis Weller right now. So I will share his stuff, some of his stuff in the group. Francis Weller is a therapist who focuses on the area of grief. And he's got a series that's called The Alchemy of Initiation. It's 5 lectures. Each lecture is like between an hour and 2 hours long. I think it's like $50. I'm telling you, it's worth 5,000. It is such a good series. And what he talks about is dark nights and how they are initiations and how to alchemize those initiations and actually use them. And this is where some of the stuff I was talking about earlier, where I believe that like us missing out on initiation is a big part of the problem here. These are ideas that I took from Francis Weller. Like his way of describing it like makes it feel very true for me. And one of the things that he talks about is we go through a dark night of the soul to be able to let go of our childlike beliefs, meaning I'm what matters. I need to put myself first. I'm the only thing that's here, and flipping us into the tribe is what matters. The whole is what matters. Like that's why the initiation was there. It was to help you feel like you had something, like now you're officially welcomed back as a member of this tribe. You've gone through your dark night. You've proven yourself as a man or a woman, and now you come back to the tribe and you do your part because that's what you're here for. And we let go of the selfishness and we let go of the tendency to need other people to, like we were talking about before, to need other people to like us, right? Like all of the stuff around our individual self moves into the tribe. And so these initiations, first of all, Dark Night of the Soul, the West is obsessed with the light. We've got to get to a place where we see the value of the dark. It is equally as valuable. And Francis does an amazing job of talking about why that's the case. And he talks about these terms from alchemy, like the negredo, maybe you're familiar with, the darkness, and the rubedo, which is this red gold that starts to happen as we alchemize some of this process. And then the last thing I'll touch on here, and then we'll go to Christine, is a similar story, Candy. Courtney and I went on a surf trip to Costa Rica like 2 years ago. It's 2 years ago now. It's like my dream place, right? Like I'm a huge surfer. I love warm weather. We're on the beach. We're in an amazing hotel. I spent 2 of those days unable to leave the room because I was in such, and I was only there for like 6 days because I was in such a pit of despair for a period of time. So it's interesting. And what it was for me was I was telling myself the story that like, if only I can get here, I'll feel better. And then I got there and I didn't feel better. And so it was like, well, fuck. Like, what do I do at that point? Like, if this doesn't make me feel better, it was like a feeling of hopelessness and helplessness. Like, if this doesn't make me feel better, what's going to make me feel better? That was a tough time. Christine, over to you.
Sorry about that. The
No worries.
bird made his way to the floor and then found my foot right before you told me. Oh my goodness. What was coming through, I've been steeping myself in my gene keys a bit deeper, especially this month in particular. And when you were sharing the journey, I was like, oh, that sounds like my key 20. My key 20 is self-assurance is the gift.
Yeah,
And that's what you were talking about for the leaders. It's like, it's that knowing you are who you are, no matter what's going on around you or who's around you or what keys you have in your gene key sequence. And so I was just feeling, I guess, prompted to share that Gene Key 20 can be a helpful contemplation, whether you have it or not. The self-assurance is that full presence of self first, and then interacting with the other, and that internal journey with the self. And so that was coming in really strong. And just, I'm also just started reading the Venus sequence book. I have the books. I like the analog style.
Yeah, perfect.
And so I'm doing that pathway, and it's been really fun to just gently go back through the whole process, just really slow. So yes, I felt to share that, the Gene Key 20 for self-assurance for the leaders in your group. And then the other one, when you were talking about initiations, my Gene Key 22, I have that twice in my pearls, or twice in my keys. And
Yep.
that talks about spiritual initiation and the layers of initiation. And that when you, it even says when you begin initiation, or you think you have, you didn't actually begin it till you get to the third step of initiation. Then you actually began initiation. So it's just funny because it is true. And that's with the gene keys. That's, I mean, you think you've gone around, but you just keep going with it because it goes deeper. The layers go deeper. There's so many aspects of us in the way that it interacts with us and then how we interact with other people. So 22, if you haven't played with 22, that's a really beautiful one to begin that process. And grace is a big part of it. The dark night of the soul, you can bring grace into that process and grace as a being even. So Gene Key 22 has grace and graciousness as the gift in this city. And grace as a being is a really potent way to be able to move with yourself in the dark. It doesn't mean lighting it all up and getting out of it as fast as possible, but it doesn't have to be a miserable time. And you need to be in the dark for as long as you need to be there. And so I find that the grace helps us to embrace the dark in a different way. So yeah, this is very much striking more chords with just where I
Yeah.
am with my sequence and my own process. So thank you for
Beautifully
sharing
said.
this.
Beautifully said. Yeah, another tool that is really helpful that I found for those of you that are finding yourselves in the midst of a dark night, maybe one of the ones more like Candy described of like, when is this going to end? Just like this long process. The Gene Keys have a teaching that's called the Seven Sacred Seals, and it actually is a spin-off directly from the 22nd Gene Key.
Mm.
And it is all about stepping grace down deeper into your being and into your subtle bodies. That's literally the point of this teaching.
Mhm.
And so if you are feeling that need for help, exactly what Christine said, like giving it to God can be incredibly powerful. It's actually, I've been going to church recently, randomly, weirdly, and the sermon on Sunday was about this exactly. Like, when you are stricken by fear, you've got two choices. One is to try and figure your way out of it and tighten down and do everything you can. The other is to give it over to God and find faith.
Mm.
And interestingly, as an aside here, one of the things that the pastor, he's like, I really dislike when people turn spiritual sayings into bumper stickers. And so the one that he brought up was faith over fear, right? Just that's everywhere. And he's like, that A drives me crazy. B is not biblically accurate. So nowhere in the Bible does it say faith over fear. What it says in John is love over fear. And to me, that's a difference of intention and action, right? Faith is a little bit more passive. It's a little bit more waiting, love, in my view, whereas love is a little bit more embodying, like doing something. And that doesn't mean doing something in the outer world. We got to be careful here, right? I'm not telling you that you got to go grind your face off, but it does mean like, instead of passively waiting, like, I'm going to sit down and meditate for 2 hours, or I'm going to, like, pauses are a part of what I'm talking about here.
Mhm.
So that's important. And then, yeah, the planetary initiations is what Christine was referencing in the 22nd gene key. So if you've never dug into those, I have a video that I did that goes through the 9 planetary initiations, and it's in school somewhere. So good luck finding it. If I find it, I'll try and remember to post it. But it is definitely in there. Maybe it's in the section that's like universal wisdom, but I'm not positive about that. And this is something that comes from the 22nd gene key, and I won't spend a ton of time with it right now. But the 9 planetary initiations, basically the first 6. So the 6th initiation on the other side of the 6th is an awakened being. So, this is a process that starts with birth, which is like basically this realization that there's more in the world than just yourself, right? the selfishness starts to fade away. Then we get baptism, and baptism is like this flashing moment of grace where like, oh shit, something just happened that I don't understand, but everything's different after this moment, right? So like plant medicine can open these up for a lot of people. Deep meditation can open this up for a lot of people, but it's out of our control. There's nothing you can do to make it happen. It just happens. And when it does, everything is different from that moment. And then the third is confirmation. And so confirmation is about knowing that that spirituality, that thing is more true than the world that you thought was true before, right? It's like a confirmation that there's something there, there's something greater. Then the fourth is matrimony. And so this is wedding yourself to Christ consciousness. This is the full commitment and devotion to manifesting heaven on earth and allowing Christ to work through you, or whatever. And I'm using Christ here archetypally, right? Like allowing, like transmuting suffering and being a beacon of light and hope and love for people. Fifth is annunciation. And now for 4, 5, 6, they go like pretty closely together. And the fifth is like you become pregnant with, so you had this relationship that happened in matrimony, that happened in the marriage, and then annunciation is like, you become pregnant with this Christ consciousness. There's something that comes alive in you and that needs to be birthed and brought out into the world. And then finally, as far as what we'll talk about today, the sixth initiation is communion. And communion is, like I said, is awakening. Communion is becoming one with all and knowing the unity of things, being able to see the connective tissue of the universe. Like it's an awakening experience. And then 7, 8, and 9, you can go to the 22nd gene key and check them out. They're really pretty much wordless, honestly. 7, 8, and 9. Richard tries to do a job of breaking it down, but like all the cities, like he's like I love in 24 the city is silence, and he's like, what am I supposed to say? Like the city is silence. So thank you, Christine. Is there anything else you wanted to add, my dear? And then we'll go over to Juan.
No, I think there was another thing that came up, but I think it's just swimming around right now. So I feel complete at the moment.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you. Let me just read this comment from Sonia. Maybe these people are just saying trust over fear. Yeah, exactly, Sonia. I agree. It is another kind of let go or let God. Juan, let's go to you, dude. I'm reading your comment as you're coming in.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, thanks
Happy
for
to
being
be
here.
here. Thank you. Yes, I just wanted to firstly brought up a resource that came into mind when I started to hearing about the Dark Night of the Soul. I remembered seeing the rebirth sequence that have you revised it? And it came into mind, but I haven't like really got into it, and I think it's another resource for us to work through this Dark Night of the Soul and do this shadow work.
Yes, agreed entirely. And this is something, man, Jan really needed to be here today. This is something that Jan spoke about. Well, actually, he didn't speak about the rebirth. He talks about doing just the activation sequence in reverse. So going from purpose to radiance to evolution to life's work. The rebirth sequence actually zigzags it. So it goes from purpose to evolution to radiance to life's
Mhm.
work. And I believe he talks about this in the Venus sequence. Do you know, is that true, Juan? Do you remember where you saw it?
I saw it on a video, on a YouTube video, Fragments of Light, as an
Okay.
independent video. Yeah,
I've seen it
I'm
there
going
too.
to be I'm going to hand you the link in
Okay.
the community. I think that that resource is very useful right now that we're talking about this. And I love also the participation of Christine, because she reassures your intention at the beginning of this wisdom call about us being that leader or that lighthouse that sustains God's grace.
Mm,
And I think that that jinky being contemplated helps us settle into this intention pretty well.
yeah.
And yeah, just that I just wanted to bring that resource of the rebirth
Yeah.
sequence that came into mind, and I think that going through it, contemplating it, would help us in this process, in this loop you mentioned about, what was it, rebirth, ordeal, and that, something like that.
Return. Yeah.
The
Yeah.
return.
Yeah.
Yeah, because one final thing I want to add, when I got into these esoteric teachings, there was something that really clicked in me, that are these three factors of being a human, an activated human, that are first to be born, then second to die, and the third one to serve.
Mm,
And how having us being intentional with the three of them can help us um, go through this hero's journey, because
yes.
it also takes to get rid of all of that are not the real us, and that has to be transmuted. And I think that's there's technology for that. And yeah, I'm happy to navigate with y'all
Yeah.
with this.
So well said, Juan. Like so well said. I really feel a deep resonance with you and with your words. So thank you for being here and for being willing to share and talk. Um, it's interesting too because it's in that order, right? It's birth, death, service.
Exactly.
And so many people want to go birth, service,
Sir.
death.
Mm,
And it just doesn't work that way. So if you feel the call to serve, to really truly be the light, right? To really truly serve, not from your personality,
mm,
but from your soul, you've got to be willing to go through the death. That's it. It's just a reality of the process.
exactly.
And it's why so many people are out there teaching and you don't feel resonance with them. We can feel who's gone through it and who hasn't.
Hmm.
So thank you for sharing that. And then the
Yeah,
other
can
thing that I want to share there is just this idea of like it's going through this death. So you said sharing God's light, right? Like that's what's happening. Don't I was confused for a long time that I was sharing my light. And that's not what's going on. Like there is and this goes to the death and then serve. We got to get out of the way so that the light can just flow straight through and out. That's it. It's
exactly,
just passing through you.
exactly.
Yeah. Is there anything else you wanted to add, Juan?
Just I would like to. I have it like in hand, that rebirth sequence. I don't know if I can like quickly share it, just to, because we're talking
Yeah.
about this big word that comes into my mind, that's surrender. And could you help me with a permit to?
Do you not have the ability? Let me see.
Mhm. Because it's actually what equals to the breakthrough on the in the activation sequence. In the rebirth sequence, it equals to the surrender path, the path of surrender, something like that. And I think that's one of the main ideas catching from this?
I think you should be able to share now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Are you able to see my screen now?
Yeah.
Okay. Here it is. I don't know if you can
Yeah.
see it well. The
You can
rebirth
see it.
sequence. Mm-hmm. So there it is. I mean, I don't have I haven't take a look at the video, as I said, but here it is. And what I would like to close my participation with is what I've been, because I feel lately that I've been consistent with this work, with this shadow work, and but still like feeling that I'm opening like a bit that I the than what I can really be opening. I can be opening more to the vessel for this light to go through and wash all that I don't need anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like I've been watching outside a bit of the results in uh, some miracles, some help that reaches out, and some kind of like strength and mm, yeah, like power. So when the turbulence comes, when these patterns are trying to come into awareness, it it doesn't like move me that much as before, and
Mm-hmm.
it has happened these last weeks, and I'm thinking that I'm finally tasting that for stability.
Mm-hmm.
So I was also asking myself, uh, how does it taste, right? How does core stability taste? Because I mean, I got into the work a couple years ago, but I haven't got like really deep and step by step into. I feel I haven't started the Venus sequence. I like kind of, as you said, I went like kind of over through it all,
Mm-hmm.
but like going specifically and very a little bit much deeper into each one. I'm feeling like I'm doing that right now with the activation sequence, and I'm very glad that I can conclude this about me feeling stronger and getting that taste of core stability. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, it's like the very beginning of it,
Mm-hmm.
and what invites me continue doing is like tasting that radiance. A couple minutes ago when we were meditating with you, and you asked about us contemplating a gene key, I thought about my radiance, and I think that that was like the answer, the yeah, from my higher self to contemplate in order for me to anchor and crystallize this work that I feel it's been having results, and I'm starting to feel the the need to share with people near me, my mom that I see suffering from that dark night of the soul.
Yeah.
So I've been having the opportunity to like mm, conclude with all this work that I've been doing and gather what I have integrated from these different resources into the like the most simple message that I can give to somebody in that moment I'm being feel called to. So yeah, that said, I'm very grateful for being active in this community in school right now. I've watched your wisdom calls before, but uh, I wasn't that close until now that I got into school.
Yeah.
So very grateful for your job, Jay, and everybody's to now being sharing this intention and resources and all that experiences to be this lighthouse for whoever needs it.
Yeah. Beautiful. Thank you so much, Juan.
Thank
Really
you.
appreciate it. You've got a lot of wisdom. A lot of wisdom. How old are you, Juan, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, I'm 26 years old.
Phew. Man,
Mhm.
if only I could know this at 26 years old. You, my friend, are going to be a powerful being for good on this planet. I'm happy and proud to have you here. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thank you, Jay.
And then just some words of encouragement for you, brother. You're already doing a great job, and just maintaining your patience and knowing that all things in time, it just takes time. And then the other thing to know for me, once that core stability is felt, the process begins to snowball. There's like an acceleration that starts to happen, or at least started to happen for me, where things started to shift and change at an increasing rate. Like things started to happen faster and faster. Like it felt so long, like there was no movement. And then all of a sudden I hit this tipping point and it just like so much spilled over. So you're right there. Just stick with it.
Okay, thank you.
You're
Thank you very
welcome.
much.
You're welcome. Lily, my dear, you're back from stand-up paddleboarding. Let's go.
Need to find the unmute button. Here we go. Yes, yes, I am back. I'm actually hungry, so it's well into the evening now here. And sorry to circle back
That's
to the
okay.
beginning, but I just wanted to say what you were saying in the beginning of what your vision is and what you want to do from now on. And I just wanted to say that I'm again so grateful for this. And this is exactly what we needed. I think you've always said that you're pretty good at sensing you're always ahead of the curve. And I think this is exactly what we needed because I have also obviously following the news and everything that has been happening. It is a really tricky time to be the sensitive person, people that we all are. And I often uh, find myself quite lonely and needing a community. And I think you were just so great at providing that community for us. And I wanted to share that I was actually reading my journal from last year and like May last year. And I journaled that I feel so spiritually active, but I feel so lonely in that journey because I have nobody to talk to about it because I have loads of friends, I have a loving family, and it's all great. I have like loads of people around me, but nobody is, I guess, on the same frequency as I am.
Mhm.
And straight after that, you started the Gene Key, these wisdom calls June last year. So I was reminiscing about how yes, this has been every time I put out something like a call to the universe, you come back with a solution for it. And I wanted you to know that. And
Thank you.
and this is great. And I think this is exactly what we need, a community. I really like the idea of a weekly wisdom call and sharing knowledge more frequently because yeah, it's been very intense. And I think you are right about I guess the prophecy or the Gene Keys prophecy coming into the chaotic period right now. This is exactly where we are at the moment, and I'm just grateful to have this space to share with you all, and we can support each other through this journey. So I just wanted to share that. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Lily. I couldn't stop thinking when you said that. I immediately went to like, I'm your neighborhood light dealer. Just keep me in your pocket and I can give you whatever light you need whenever you need it. It's a weird take back to the drug dealer days. Um, okay. Yes, I thank you for sharing the impacts. It's always nice to hear from people that have been shifted and changed. And I'm excited to see where it goes to. I have no idea. I mean, as many of you have shared, one of the draws to me is that you like how open I am and what's been happening in the process. And you guys all know where I'm at. Or if you don't, go to YouTube, you can see where I'm at. And And so this is gonna emerge and we're gonna figure it out together. You know, that's kind of where this is right now. I know that school was the right thing to do. Well, I didn't know school was the right thing to do, but I know we needed a home base, and school appears to be the cleanest, simplest home base for right now for us. Yeah, I mean, I'm just curious. I'm very curious, and I want you guys to be a part of this. So this is maybe a really good segue into what are you wanting? Like, what resources, what conversation topics, what tools, what can I make for you? Or what can I find people to bring into this group? Like, what are you needing so that you have support during this transition?
I'm curious if you have that as a pinned post, sort of an ongoing communication topic in the community. I tend to be someone who I respond to things really quick, but when it's something like this that's deeply personal, I
Yeah.
need to contemplate it a little bit
Okay.
to really be able to let it come forward for
Totally.
me personally. Um, but that would be helpful to have it as something that can be responded to now or in future.
Perfect.
Just that's what I'm wanting.
Yeah, definitely we'll do that. 100%. That's a great idea. Thank you.
Otherwise, I think you made a good plan. I think everyone sharing what they're really good at. I really love that. That's fantastic because we have some people with amazing knowledge to share. And then the discussions, like I think the weekly wisdom calls are the hit because
Yeah.
these can flow whichever way we need them to flow. I think the
Yeah.
fact that we have a little bit of open discussion type of thing, that's always really, really helpful. So I
Yeah.
think that's you made a good plan.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. And the wisdom calls, I think, are just going to end up being like, it's a big ask for a weekly 2 hour block from everyone. So I want you to know that, like, come when you can. And also, they may end up like on days, if it just works itself out that we end in an hour, I'm just going to end it in an hour. You know, like I'm not going to intentionally drag it out just to drag it out. So, we'll just kind of see where they end up. But yeah, I definitely think switching to a weekly rhythm is going to be helpful. Yeah, Mac, please. Sorry to make you lean back again.
That's all right. I was trying to put my hand up and I couldn't find the button. Yeah, I just wanted to quickly share about, well, thank you so much, Jay, for opening this opportunity for us.
Yeah.
And when you said, inviting leaders, this has been calling me for some time. It was like when I stepped in, I just thought, gulp, step in. That's how I was. But the other thing that I wanted to share was I woke up one morning and I felt panicky and so much anxiety. And I thought, what is going on? And I checked the transits, everything what was happening, and then I found out the US had bombed Iran. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it was so hard. I don't know why it hit me so heavily because it's like we've been in global conflict for quite some time now with all the bits and pieces. I mean, obviously Russia and Ukraine has been happening. I mean, it's everywhere, right? Like there's been a lot going on. And so I'm not sure what about that moment was the thing, but it was an outsized reaction for sure. There's something bigger than just that happening, and I just have to trust my gut when I get those. It is what it is. Okay. Anything else that anyone wants to request in the way of the direction that this goes or what we do? Mac, did you have something else?
Yeah, just to
Yeah.
say that the US has such a worldwide impact.
Yeah.
And I think that's the scary thing,
Yeah,
the real scary thing.
for sure. Yeah, it's
Thank you.
everybody else is giving their people health care and we're building a war machine. So it is. It's pretty sketchy. Okay. Any other requests, comments? I don't want to open any new doors because we're towards the tail end here. Okay. So I'll just close with a call back to the beginning, which is the move right now. I was shocked that 100 people came into this group in 3 days. I was thinking we were going to have like 15 or 20, you know? But the move right now is we need you guys to be activated, right? We need movement here. We need like this is a time that we need to get the ball started rolling because according to the Gene Keys, we've got 2 years. That is not that much time. And we don't need to rush. We don't need to hurry. All things in good time, but it's time. Okay. So if the activation work isn't open in you, I would love to have you do that with me. I do not have details yet. This is all emerging with me as it's emerging for you. Okay. But tentatively, it will be weekly teachings as well as some, like I always do, like teaching's great, but we need to do some work, right? So there's going to be some homework, there's going to be some embodiment stuff, there's going to be kind of various pieces that go along with this. Right, I will put the information in the group right now. Tentatively, what I'm thinking is an 8-week process where we do 2 weeks on each of the spheres, and the cost is roughly going to be $100 a week. So that is ballpark where I'm going to be. No promises that that is exactly where we end up, but that is kind of what I'm thinking. I promise you with every fiber of my being, if I do this again, it will be at least $1,500. So if you are feeling the call, let's do the thing. If you're not, I promise you will get a ton of value. Cool. We'll see you guys next week. Poke around the group, take in as much of that content as you can, share resources that you find, be of service, be a light in the world, work on that core stability, and let's do this damn thing. All right, guys. Lots of love. Till next time.